122 miles. 120 miles per hour.
Hey guys, it's Coach Nick here. You can call me Coach Nick, Coach K, whichever alias you prefer. I was just contacted by a player who I saw play a little bit at the PNW Junior Sectionals, but never really got a feel for his game. I was more closely watching some of my own students play, and I just saw him on one of the back courts at the tournament site hitting some balls. His name's Sawyer. He's 19 years old. He's 5'11". He's from Tacoma, Washington. He told me he's training full-time at a tennis academy, and he's hoping to play pro in the next 4 or 5 years. Now, when he sent me his serve video, I was pleasantly surprised how good this thing looked. I mean, this thing's coming off quick. I even asked him to send me a side view of his serve because the thing from the back view just looks so good. But once he sent me the side view version of his serve, I was able to pinpoint a couple things in slow motion. And I'm pretty confident this thing has potential to be absolutely gigantic. Keep in mind, he just turned 19 years old, so he hasn't reached his peak physical development yet. I know he's under 6 feet tall, but I truly believe that getting to, at some point, 130 miles per hour plus is not out of the question here. Now, the first move you'll see here is that his weight is rocked a little bit forward. His racket and left hand are both closer to the direction of the net than his left hip is. This is good. This is the typical position that most big servers start with. He's now starting to shift his weight to his back leg as his hands go back as well. This is also good. We could make the argument that his head is drifting a little bit too far back towards the back fence, but I don't think it really matters too much. I mean, he can experiment with it, but nothing vital here, I don't think. But here's one thing that I think could very well be important. Watch how his left arm never completely straightens. Now, if you watch every server that I've seen at least that serves at least 120, 125 miles an hour, they all completely straighten out their left arm. And the reason why you want to fully straighten out that left arm is because you want to maximize your shoulder tilt. A steeper shoulder tilt within reason will directly correlate with more racket speed on the serve. Fully extending his left arm at the end of the toss will also help him get more of a side bend with his torso. And what this all does is it encourages you to have a more vertical acceleration path into the serve. And by doing so, you're getting more racket speed because you're covering more distance as the racket's accelerating. Now, another thing I'd say here is that it appears that his head's a little bit too far back towards his right shoulder as he's approaching the trophy position. And as I discussed in one of my previous videos with Oliver, the 12.1 UTR that's playing pro events, this can affect your eventual forward momentum into the serve. And although I can't prove this, I think the reason why Sawyer's bringing his head so far back is because he's sensing he's not getting enough shoulder over shoulder tilt. And that's due to the fact that his left arm is not straight enough after he tosses. So by bringing his head back towards the direction of the back fence, it's very likely a subconscious overcompensation for the fact that he hasn't established a great enough shoulder tilt. So he's kind of trying to manufacture one by moving his head further back towards his right shoulder. And as I talked about in one of my most recent videos, you can see former pros such as Thomas Johansson, who can serve in the 140s, keep their head closer to their left shoulder at this point in the motion. So that way they can maintain their forward momentum while also creating a little bit more of a stretch in the shoulder too. Now, here's another thing that I kind of discovered on my own. I never heard from any other coach. After watching a bunch of videos of the best servers of all time hitting flat serves, contrary to popular belief, the racket almost never closes when they're approaching that lasso position. So I'm sure you heard a lot of people say you got to, comb your hair, or you got to close that racket face as you go into your racket drop. Most of the best flat servers in the world don't do this because I believe it disrupts the natural supination on the serve when you're trying to hit a flat serve. Now, if you're trying to hit a kick serve, that's a whole different story. You'll see a lot of the best kick serves in the world. They'll close their face as they're approaching the very beginnings of their lasso position as they're going into their racket drop. And in that case, that's good because that'll help you brush the ball more. Sort of similar, but not a perfect analogy to on the forehand. When you see a lot of heavy tops and forehands, they close that face a lot at the end of the backswing. So I know in the flat serve, this may seem kind of trivial here. The fact I'm recommending that Sawyer shouldn't close his face as much as he's starting his racket drop. But if you're trying to build a world-class serve in terms of power, you need to take advantage of every potential edge you can get. Now, although this is not the perfect angle for seeing this, you can see here the minor negative consequences that Sawyer runs into by having his head so far back centered over his right shoulder in the trophy position. His torso doesn't snap as aggressively into the court as the world's best flat servers do as they approach the contact point. One thing that I hadn't mentioned yet is that we could make the argument that his elbow gets a little too low in the trophy position. Although I've mentioned in a previous video that the high elbow is more of a myth since it disrupts the shoulder over shoulder action. You don't want it to be so low that it affects your ability to get out of that shoulder tilt quick enough. And if you don't get out of that shoulder tilt quick enough, it'll affect your forward momentum. It'll also prevent you from snapping that torso into the court as much as you should. All right, Sawyer, thanks for sending me your video. I hope this info helps. I'm curious to hear how it feels when you try to implement these changes into your serve, and which, if any, recommendation helped your serve the most. Also, thanks guys for tuning into my channel, tuning into this video. Happy New Year, and enjoy the rest of your day.